And it's back to live racing, Heat 3A of the unlimited hydroplanes at Seafair. The Beacon Plumbing boat didn't have such a great heat last time out. Let's see what John Theoret has dialed in. And the Miss Albert Lee, the U50, needs some points, so says Brian Perkins. Let's find out if they get them in Heat 3A.
Heat 3A of the Chevy Cup at Seafair is brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. Stop freaking, call Beacon. And is presented for Seafair by Yellowtail Wines. Tails, you win.
Course looking good from Chopper 7. And so as we take a look at the boats starting to circle up and get themselves in position, let's head right to the drivers who will be participating in this Heat 3A. Well, let's not do that, as a matter of fact. Let's instead just start talking about racing as they're starting to score up a little bit here. And Chip, as you look down the list, we've got J. Michael Kelly, we've got Jean Theoret. What are you looking like?
I don't see any real threat to John Theoret here, but I would love to see Brian Perkins get a break here and get some points, because I think we really need him in the final.
Because
he's one of these young and upcoming guys that just is driven very smart, and I think he's really one of the futures of the sport. I'd love to have him get a good result here, as he had in Tri-Cities a week ago where he finished second.
Mike, you think Jean Theoret and the Beacon Plumbing can get things dialed in here in this heat?
Yeah, I think so. There are going to be a couple of folks who will take a poke at him early up, but I don't think they're one that can pummel him very long in the ring. He's going to run away from him, I think, in this one. A couple of boats that could do that would be the 13th boat, of course, and that's the Graham Trucking. And J. Michael Kelly is now shadowing Theoret. You see Theoret right there. If you look just a little bit to the left, you're going to see the guy who is keeping an eye on him. There he is right there. And he is in the process of just staying on him, trying to kind of watch where he goes. If he turns to the infield, likely J. Michael will do the very same thing. Meanwhile, Brian Perkins is watching the two of them ahead of him, because if you pan back to the left, you'll see both Perkins and Jimmy Shane just coming by as well. This is from the other side of the race course there on the log room side. But there he is.
I'm afraid J. Michael Kelly's running out of time. He needs some good equipment under him to get some results. I think he's got an amazing amount of talent, but has not had the equipment to really display it.
And now, this is an interesting sequence as we watch our time, minute 10 on the clock. They're right about where they ought to be. Nobody's going to be able to afford to creep down off plane at all. Looks like already the situation is one that Theoret has things in hand. Pat O'Day's got the inside lane already.
And Jack in the Box congratulates the fastest qualifier for Heat 3A. Beacon Plumbing sponsors the boat. Billy Shoemaker owns the checkerboard Comet. Jean Theoret of Montreal drives it. They won the Chevrolet Cup 2 years ago. They're the fastest qualifier in this heat in 152.419 miles an hour. And for the fastest in fast food anytime, you stop at your nearby Jack in the Box today.
Pretty good timing as they get up into the corner here. A little off on speed, everyone is. You often wonder what would happen if somebody were at the halfway point of the back chute at this point and just came on with a real head of steam. That's sort of what Brian Perkins is doing, going wide out there on the left-hand side of your screen. He's going to try to come to the line with as much speed as possible. Theoret on the inside, however, has a really, really good power curve as he comes up. So it'll be Theoret on the inside, J. Michael Kelly next to him, Jimmy Shane, and on the outside, Brian Perkins. They come across the line with a good start, and right where he wants to be, Chip Hanauer, as he moves down into that first corner, is Jean Theoret.
Pretty hard to beat John Theoret from the inside, but I would really like to see this. Look, Mr. Mayor, I'd really like to see J. Michael Kelly get a second out of here. That would mean a lot.
And he right now is occupying second place. Jimmy Shane is in third place, trying to stay in the game there as well. And on the outside, Brian Perkins is still in it as well as they come up into the upper corner now for the first of 3 times around on this race course. Jean Theoret getting on the skid fin there, throwing up that rooster tail pretty high as he comes around the corner. Right outside of him, still J. Michael Kelly keeping the pressure on. He does not have the brute boat speed to run him down, but if he just keeps the pressure on, you start hearing gremlins when you're out front in a situation like this. Let's check the first lap, Pat O'Day.
145.517, and the second place boat at 141 on the first lap.
So they're reasonably close. It looks like J. Michael's keeping the pressure on, Chip.
He is. What I like about J. Michael Kelly is his sheer ability. He's a Seattle Outboard Association racer and has done so well. And I think we've got a boat going dead down here in the south corner.
Jimmy Sheen just gave a hip check to Brian Perkins, and Perkins in the 50 boat has just come down to the Miss Albert Lee there off the corner. Bad luck for him. Up in the upper corner now, we see once again John Thierret out front. J. Michael Kelly has decided 300 points is better than trying to break to try to pick up 100 more, so he's given a lot of ground. One more lap to go. This time Jean Thierret comes across the line a little softer.
And yellow boat on your screen at 141.112 for the second lap.
And J. Michael Kelly across the line in second place now, about 3 rooster tails back. It's turned into a bit of a high-speed parade, but it's also pretty sensible for the guys to stay right where they are. Jimmy Sheen particularly giving a good accounting of himself out there.
I was starting to talk about J. Michael Kelly there. He has, I think, more natural ability than maybe anybody I've ever seen. He's a product of the Seattle Outboard Association where he wins almost anything. Looks like his cowling's got a little vibration to it there. I don't think it's anything too serious. But I just think this kid is running out of time. They got to get him in some good equipment to show what he's got, or I think people are going to bypass him.
Jean Thierret now on a checkered flag as he comes down to win this heat pretty handily. Just exactly the way he wants. He's let the race come to him. He pretty much figured he had this field handled. What was the last lap?
And with a big lead, he still ran that lap at 139.578. The number 2 boat, of course, J. Michael Kelly. And the Graham Trucking, beautiful yellow and green boat. His last lap is 119 miles an hour. They've all slowed down considerably. And, of course, the U7, where Jimmy Shane finishes third.
So 4 up to start, 3 to finish, unfortunately, for the Miss Albert Lee. Brian Perkins was unable to get around the race course 3 times, get scored. Don't know exactly what happened to him down there, but he's down in the water.
Now, you mentioned, Mike, that there might have been a hip check there, or
might have been. There was a little close. Jimmy Shane was coming up, but I couldn't tell from the spray whether or not he did it or didn't do it.
Now, Brian Perkins, of course, is the older brother of Kaylee. And if you were to ask Kaylee where she gets her inspiration, a lot of her driving tips from, is from her older brother. She really admires her brother, Brian.
Well, he's a good jockey. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to get a race boat around the course. He needs a little bit more boat to be able to really do what he's capable of.
That's the thing we talked about at the beginning of the show. These young drivers need good equipment to really show their skills. And the really good equipment is being held by some older guys. Dave Vilwalk in the Elam, Steve David in the Oberto, and John Thierret in the Beacon Plumbing. These young guys got their eye on that equipment and want those guys out so they can get in and show their stuff.
Well, talking about good equipment, John Thierret averaged for that race with no particular competition at over 142 miles an hour. That's quick.
As John Thierret comes into the dock, and we're also looking back out there again at the Miss Albert Lee boat that is waiting to be towed back. The reason that's important right now is all of these races have been backed up just a little bit because of the flip earlier today, and the Blue Angels, really, their schedule holds. So when the Blue Angels say we've got to fly at a certain time, they're going to fly. So we want to make sure we get the dead boats in off the race course so that the next heat can be set up and run before the Blue Angels performance here for the big Seafair crowd this afternoon. There is the Miss Albert Lee with Mr. Perkins awaiting his ride back.
It's safe to say that the Blue Angels are running the city this weekend. Is that correct? They pretty much tell you when to get up, when to go to bed.
Listen, if you had one of those blue jumpsuits and drove around in a Corvette, you'd run the city too. And those guys are really something.
I've got one at home.
Do you really?
I wear it around the house.
I see. So here's a lot of happy faces down on the Beacon Plumbing dock as Jean Thierret has stepped off the boat, and I see our guard Swanson is nearby, ready to chat with Jean, the 2-time winner here. 2 of the last 3 years he's won this Seafair event.
Rabe, you with me?
I'm with you, guard. Take
All right,
it away.
let's get that camera over here and a red-hot driver. Jean, can you hear me? Got the helmet on still.
Yeah, hold on just a second.
Pull out the earplugs. They match the color of the boat, and that's always important.
Thank God for another one.
Hey, what a heat for you guys.
Yeah, we're really pleased to get another win. You know, we got inside lane, and we're really pleased for Mamo Magrito, and the Marines were sponsoring us also this weekend, so it's a great job for this whole team.
And not much competition for you in that one, and you're still cruising at 142 miles an hour.
Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got the inside lane and got a really good start, so I think, it was pretty much settled there, and the water's pretty nice right now, but it still gets lumpy on the back chute.
Yeah, you got a little more race